Hello, I'm David Hunt, CEO and founder of Hyperion Executive Search and your host for the Leaders in Cleantech podcast. Welcome back. Had a great week in Berlin last week at Eco Summit, where I met some of you, it seems. I was delighted to be approached by a few people who enjoyed the podcast, so thanks for that feedback. Next week, I'll be back in Germany at Munich for Intersolar, one of my favorite annual events, where I'll be meeting with many people, including our guest today, who is Joachim Rupp, CEO of Detra Solar. Joachim, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, David. Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Super. Looking forward to next week. But before that, certainly looking forward to delving into a little bit of your background and what's going on at Detra. So, firstly, I think two of the things that I often get asked, and we've touched on this before, Joachim, in conversation, is firstly, how to get more people from corporate backgrounds into the startup community, bring in their skills and experiences. And on the flip side, I often get asked, how do people work from a corporate environment actually function or work in a startup environment, which is clearly in many ways very, very different. Now, you've bridged that gap, so it'd be great to get your insights into that, as much as looking into what's going on at Detra and the exciting world of solar at the moment. So perhaps you can start, Joachim, with a little bit of the journey from your earlier career through to joining Detra and becoming the CEO there. Perhaps you can just share a little bit of that backstory.
Sure, yeah, very happy to do that. Yeah, so I mean, as you rightly said, I've got a corporate background. Yeah, that's where I started out here working here for big corporations like Samsung, Hitachi. Yeah, that was back in my semiconductor days. Yeah, and that's how I started off my career. Yeah. And at some point, I realized that maybe the corporates, there's just so much you can do and you can achieve, and I wanted to see something different. Yeah, and that's also how I got into the energy business, or renewable energy business. Yeah, when I joined a company called Viessmann, back in 2009. Yeah, so that was the first step. Yeah, still a relatively big type of company. Yeah. Then moving on, to different functions, different working in different parts of the value chain, from manufacturing, to system integrations, and now into services, with Detra Solar, which is obviously a very different business, but there's one common theme or one common topic was always either introducing, launching new services or products, or scaling them up, and from that perspective, I find that there are not that many differences here, whether you work for a bigger corporation or for the startup or scale-up type of environment. You start with a relatively small amount of people with a particular either service or product, and you launch and you scale up. So from that point of view, it was my transition was fairly smooth and fairly easy.
Right. Okay. It's good to hear that, because again, people often make assumptions about that. And as you say, even Viessmann, obviously, when I think we first connected many years ago, was quite a large entity. And again, it's good to draw some of those similarities. And not every corporate is a mammoth beast where you're just one of a number of people. There's always businesses and business units within those kinds of things. But perhaps now when we return to that, because I think that's really interesting, and as I said, it is something I get asked about quite often. But perhaps just give then a quick introduction to Detra Solar, the business you're currently the CEO of, and share a little bit out of those services and those markets and the solutions that your services actually solve.
Yep, sure. Well, I mean, Detra Solar is a services business, as I pointed out. So what we are doing is design services and engineering. Basically, we are the E of the EPC. And that starts very early stage with initial type of concept studies, design optimization, and goes right through to planning applications and all the documentation, for that, to execution design, so really detailed calculations, drawings, documentation, etc.
I mean, it's quite an important function, of course, to make sure we get optimum generation from solar parks and that everything is constructed in the right way. Has it really been helpful to you, having had that experience on the product side within the solar industry for many years, although it's a services business and you can say they're different things, but actually the product experience probably, or just like to judge it, how much of a useful that was now that you're in the services business related to the solar energy business?
Well, I mean, definitely the background about the components, the individual components, like the modules and the inverters, mounting structure, etc. Definitely helps. But actually at Viessmann, we were also doing some EPC or some actually general management type of developing projects getting someone to build them and then running and operating them. So that certainly helped now for the services business to understand the pain points of the clients and how to provide solutions to overcome and to make sure that, as you rightly pointed out, that to get an optimal yield under the given circumstances, as always.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the solar industry's been through such a brilliant ride over the last decade or two. I think I obviously bang on always about joining in 2007 when I started my solar business. I think you're around a little bit longer than that, but it's still hugely fastly growing and obviously benefiting still from cost reductions in terms of the actual modules and balancer systems, but actually the actual demand for solar energy is increasing. It seems still exponentially, and it's been quite an exciting place to be in. What have you seen in the last few years that have been the key drivers to that continued growth and the reason that Detra exists and obviously has such a client base?
Well, I mean, in terms of Detra, I have to point out, we're really very focused. I mean, we really only do the design part, or only, but obviously that in great depth, and with the quality, etc. It's all about, getting it right every time and not only once. I mean, that's easier said actually, than done. Having said that, in terms of the market dynamics, I mean, there have been ups and downs. I guess everybody who's been in the industry for a certain period of time. But I would say, since 2018, 2019, there has been only one way, and going up. And that's obviously related to not only energy requirements, but also to regulation, targets, individual countries or individual regions have set. And looking now into that, obviously, with the targets, 2030, 2045, even or 2050. I mean, there's a continuous demand growth. Whether that will always be linear, obviously, that is a different question.
Yeah. But certainly I should say the trajectory is back on the fast climb after some of that solar coaster of years where things were a little bit more up and down. Again, I guess if you're not involved in EPC or the delivery of parks, it might seem quite straightforward that you turn up in the field, you put up some mounting systems, and you bolt some panels on. But clearly, that's far from the case. So again, perhaps you can share some of the real value add that you bring to developers through your design and consultancy services.
Well, I mean, it's about the consistency and it's about the documentation. Obviously, talking about the cost of bad design. I mean, the earlier you catch issues or you optimize. Obviously, the less costly it is. If you discover a design flaw in the construction stage, I mean, that's probably the worst case. Still in the design phase, by really making sure that you have the necessary quality controls in place. At Detra, we are ISO certified. So that's quality is something which is inherent in the process, so to speak. And it's about I mean, there's a lot of talk about data consistency and things. So obviously making sure that you're using the right tools, you're using it to the right extent, and then by sharing the data, obviously, it is basically possible, to build on that, and to move forward. Whenever there are changes, obviously, they need to be properly documented.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your customers then. So obviously you say you're in the EPC, but I guess there's different types of companies or organizations which actually commit to building solar parks or solar installations. Who are you best serving at the moment?
Well, I mean, it's a broader field. I mean, it starts here with the project developers. So that's the early stage type of design. So project developers / investors are coming to us asking for help and for support. Then EPCs, IPPs, large energy companies, basically all of them. Obviously the type of services we are providing to each and everyone is different. The services for an EPC, obviously with own engineering resources is very much different than the services we offer for development.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit the role or your time since joining Detra. Where are we now? Is it a couple of years yet since you joined?
Well, actually, already a little bit more. Yeah,
really. Okay.
as you said, yeah, time is flying. Yeah, so I joined in 2021, and business was a few €100,000 worth of turnover, and about 20 people. Yeah, not even 20 people. Yeah,
right.
Well, now today, yeah, we are at more than 50 people and growing. Yeah, obviously, yeah, as there is demand and clients are asking for our services. Yeah. And we're not quite a double-digit million in terms of revenues, yeah, but that is the target, or that is where we are heading. Yeah, so that's been about 60-70% growth, yeah, year over year. Yeah, what we are trying to replicate. Yeah, so I've been spending a lot of time, obviously, on the organizational development. Yeah, on the one side, yeah, but also making sure, yeah, that we can replicate and that we build a modular type of organization to be capable to scale up. Yeah. Also, obviously important, spending the experience, yeah, onboarding clients, yeah, onboarding projects, yeah, but also onboarding people, yeah, by hiring, yeah, making sure, yeah, that everybody is in line, yeah, and doing things, yeah, the Detra way, yeah, where we have now experience, yeah, from being over 10 years in the business.
Yeah. Share a bit more about that, because as you say, as we all know, wearing a CEO hat brings many of the problems or many of the challenges across all aspects of the business. But joining a company as you say, at an early stage and making the journey, as we've already touched on, from a corporate world to this startup arena. Again, I know there were some sort of more startup environments along the way, but what have been the major personal challenges that you've had in the last 3 years since joining the organization?
Well, I mean, certainly making sure, yeah, that we hire the right people, yeah, and that we get them on board, yeah, as quickly and as efficiently as possible, yeah. Also, I mentioned about the organization, yeah, we have set up, yeah, I mean, being based in the Baltics here in Lithuania, yeah, to be more precise, yeah, we have also set up offices and an entity in Turkey and an entity in Germany. Yeah.
Right.
I also, obviously having 3 entities, yeah, makes a difference in terms of the administration, in terms of all sorts of operational topics like tax and so on and so forth. Yeah. These have been the challenges, yeah, we've been facing, yeah, and it's all about, yeah, obviously setting it right, yeah, in order to be able, yeah, to scale and to replicate.
So how have you gone about that? Because again, you and I, obviously, we've spoken many times over you. You've been kind enough to support many of the things we've done at Hyperion in terms of looking at leadership and growth. How have you, now that you have these additional entities, I mean, obviously setting up the entities from an operational perspective, and particularly a GmbH is not an easy thing to do, but obviously then populating and making sure that the whole team is aligned and shares the same values and obviously shares the same ethos. And perhaps you can just share a little bit how you've gone about, or what your leadership style is, to make sure that there is that unity across a growing and a disparate team in terms of being in different places.
Well, I mean, it's all about collaboration. Yeah, obviously, I mean, our entire operations is digital, yeah, or virtual, yeah. So we are connected. We're connected all the time. Yeah, I mean, not by only ourselves within the team, yeah, but also with the clients, yeah, with our partners, yeah, etc. Yeah. So putting all these things in place, yeah, I mean, it sounds very obvious, yeah, but you have to keep a certain consistency, yeah, from that point of view. Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned values, yeah, and how to make sure, yeah, that all the new people actually, it's fairly simple, yeah, with people which have been for the business, yeah, 4 or 5 years, yeah, they all know, yeah, what Detra stands for, yeah, but how to transfer the values here, etc. And we've done again this year quite a significant amount of work here to make sure that we pass on the right values. We have the necessary material. Yeah, it's not only about putting this on nice PowerPoint slides here, but obviously also mentoring and coaching the people. Yeah, so it's much about collaboration. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, maybe getting a little bit more of a deeper dive in there, because as you say, it's not just some people sort of perceive values. It's a slogan or a mission statement. You put it on the wall, you tell people, and you expect them all to understand and to live and breathe those things. But clearly, there's much more to it in terms of that collaboration and communication. What are some of the things that you do either day to day or during the course of business? I think I've seen you guys doing offsites, as many companies who are working remotely do, including ourselves. But what are some of the sort of the ways you make sure there's a good coordination, collaboration within the team?
Well, I mean, you've mentioned the vacation. Yeah, that is something. Yeah, we are doing. Yeah, we've actually just come back here from the vacation. Yeah, couple of weeks ago. Yeah, and again, yeah, that has really proven. Yeah, that this is something. Yeah, which really makes the people. Yeah, stick together. Yeah, the informal exchange. Yeah, but also then obviously discussing work related topics. Yeah, so there's a whole range of different types of things, yeah. I mean, we've been planting trees, yeah, for example, yeah. As a team, also, yeah. So just on a Friday afternoon, yeah, we've planted 3,000 trees, yeah, around Kaunas, yeah, in Lithuania, yeah.
Right.
That was fantastic, yeah. I mean, not everybody had the experience, yeah, and the possibility, yeah, to do something like that, yeah. So it's an ongoing effort, yeah, and I mean, you have to back that up, yeah, with the resources, yeah. So HR is incredibly important, yeah, and obviously also recruiting, yeah, to make sure, yeah, that we get people, yeah, with the same, kind of ideas, with the same kind of spirit, yeah, and to keep it up, yeah. So there's a whole range of things, yeah, Detra birthday, vacation, then events, yeah, like the one I've mentioned, yeah. Also now, as we are going here to Intersolar, obviously we are going as a team,
right.
So obviously making sure, yeah, that everybody is on board, yeah. I mean, as always, yeah, we've got new people on the team, yeah, going for the first time, yeah. So it's also, for me personally, it's very interesting to see people coming from different industries, yeah. Sometimes all from, not necessarily only the solar industry, yeah, how they react, yeah, to this kind of dynamic environment.
It's certainly that at Intersolar. I'm not sure. I think I'm on my about 10th or 11th year, perhaps a little bit more for you. So, but it's quite a dynamic environment. And again, I think it could be a great introduction for people who perhaps haven't been in the solar industry for too long, or again, perhaps, obviously a lot of people, regardless of what you do, end up being, remote and perhaps more desk-based than anything, to actually go and see so much of the ecosystem, so many products and offerings, because again, that's something which is constantly evolving. And I guess that's quite important to you as a business to obviously always be aware of the new evolutions in inverter and module technologies and yield capabilities.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, absolutely, I agree. I mean, Intersolar obviously being as intense as it always has been or is, yeah. For new people, yeah, that's a great playground, yeah, to get to grips, yeah, with not only the technology, but also the people, yeah, and the clients, and meeting face to face, yeah. I mean, there's only so much, yeah, you can do virtually or digitally, yeah. Meeting people and talking to them and getting to know them in person, yeah. Obviously, yeah, you cannot replace entirely.
So jumping back to the business, Joachim, what sort of size of solar projects do you typically work on? I mean, obviously, if you give us the range, but then what are sort of the more usual types and sizes of projects that you might work on?
Well, obviously it depends. I mean, we do C&I as well as utility, so that's obviously from a size point of view very, very, very different, yeah. I mean, from CI, it goes from a few hundred kilowatt peak, yeah, so 500 kilowatt, let's say, yeah, up to, these days also 5, 10, or sometimes even 20 megawatt, yeah, for industrial rooftop. Yeah. And I mean, that's I would say the sweet spot still being about 2 to 5 type of megawatt, yeah. And then for utility, obviously, yeah, that's different. Yeah. I mean, it seems like these solar parks are getting bigger and bigger. Having said that, obviously, that depends on the region and depends on the country. Yeah, I mean, we typically do bread and butter. I would say 40, 50, 60, 70 megawatts. Yeah, and goes up there to 500. Yeah, which typically then is done in stages. Yeah. in multiple stages. Yeah, so it comes back to the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, the pharma space, I should say, that they do seem to be getting considerably bigger, but and continue to be, obviously the bulk of what's being installed. But I'm really excited about the CNI space because it's something which I think I did my first 500 kilowatt peak, half a megawatt roof back in 2011, and I anticipated that there'd be a very obvious upturn in roofs because there are so many roofs which are underutilized in the UK and Germany, across Europe. How are you seeing that CNI space? Is that becoming more and more prevalent? You're seeing more projects. You already touched on that you're working in that space, but as a percentage, are you still predominantly on sort of utility scale, or are you starting to see more work in the CNI space?
Well, I mean, you have to differentiate. Yeah, I mean, it's not only about the amount of installations; it's also about the megawatt. Yeah, so I would say from a megawatt point of view, yeah, we are still more on utility scale. Yeah, so let's say 60-40. But from the amount of installations, yeah, such, yeah, it's definitely the other way around, yeah. And we do see in particular countries, yeah, we do see a trend, yeah, for C&I, yeah. Germany, for example, has been really, really strong, yeah, on the CI side of things, yeah.
Right. Okay. Where else are you seeing hotspots, both on the CNI and the utility scale? Which are the markets where you're most active at the moment?
Well, I mean, basically our clients are mostly based in Europe, yeah. So, well, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, yeah, Belgium, Netherlands, yeah, etc. Yeah. So those are the main countries, yeah. But having said that, I mean, these clients, yeah, they do projects all over the world, yeah. So we've been active in 50 different countries, or even more, yeah.
Right.
I think 52, yeah, was the last count, yeah. But I would say still, I mean, the majority of the work here we are doing is here in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So jumping back a little bit, Joachim, to another part of the conversation in terms of your experiences, and again, because we do at Hyperion get approached by so many people in the corporate space who want to go and do something with more impact, and perhaps want to be in more of an environment where they themselves can have more impact, typically in a smaller organization. Perhaps you can share a little bit of some of the I guess both the upsides and downsides of your transition. Obviously, to some degree, you have less resources by definition when you're not in a big corporate, but clearly you have a lot more maybe autonomy and opportunities to grow yourself. So maybe you can share a little bit of some of your highlights and maybe some of the downsides as well, being honest about your journey from the corporate environment to more of a startup and more of an impact-driven company.
Well, I mean, it's exactly what you said. It's about the resources, yeah. So you have to be prepared to do a broader variety of tasks, or cover a broader variety of topics, yeah, yourself, yeah. So obviously it makes sense, yeah, if you have a kind of an experience here where you've touched on multiple things, yeah, or different things, yeah. Not only in terms of like the value chain as such, and having experience here from different perspectives, yeah, but also here from what you enjoy doing. Well, I mean, that's I guess the most important point, yeah. And then again, I mean, in a smaller type of environment, yeah, there is, well, not necessarily a backup, yeah. So you have to cover, yeah, and you also have to be able, yeah, to cover different positions, yeah, or well, I mean, for your colleagues, yeah, etc. Yeah, whereby in a corporate environment, yeah, well, there's always a backup, yeah. There's always another department, yeah, you can call on, or somebody else you can call on, yeah, for help. Yeah.
Yeah, some people might see that as a negative and some as a positive, I guess. It can take a little bit of getting used to from the experiences of people that I've known who've made that transition. Broadly, I must say, and maybe obviously it's because I work primarily with startups than with corporates, the journey is, people talk positively of the journey, but it's obviously not without its challenges and surprises a little bit. I don't know if there are any, obviously I think you went in well with your eyes open, so to speak, but were there any surprises in your transition from those earlier corporate days to now obviously leading a smaller entity?
Well, not really. I mean, as I pointed out already, even like within working for these corporates, yeah, I was working for fairly small entities. Yeah. So for example, yeah, with Viessmann, well, I had the honor to spin off the photovoltaic operations. So we started basically by setting up a company, by setting up a GmbH. And I started with seven or eight people. So that was very
Right.
startup type or entrepreneurial type of activity. Obviously, still had the backup from like corporate services, like accounting or finance and logistics and things like that. So that is, I think, that was maybe going only halfway. So I mean, for a startup, where you have to do 100% yourself, obviously, that is very much different. So for me, it was more a gradual move, so to speak. So setting up or spinning off an entity for a corporate, rather than being the founder. And that's also something I've discovered for myself over the course of the year. Well, I'm not the founder type of person. I'm more the scaling up or market launch, market entry, scaling up operations type of person. So that's really where I discovered over the past years. That's the sweet spot. That's something I really enjoy doing.
It's a really interesting point that, Joachim, actually, because again, we often talk to our clients and around that, a company, an organization is much like, a life. It comes in many stages. You have obviously you're a baby at some point, you're an infant, you're a toddler, you're a teenager, and all these things. So there's different stages of the business, and not everybody is suited to every stage. Some people can work through from a startup of 3 people and leave when it's 3,000, but they're quite rare, to be honest. So most people find that sweet spot of where within the growth of a company they most enjoy and where they can bring most value. So from what you were saying, you obviously discovered that a little bit along the way, and that you find yourself now in this sweet spot of scale up, which is perhaps more so than startup.
Absolutely. So taking something from like just a few people, 7, 8, as I pointed out, with Viessmann, to now 50 or maybe next year 70, 80 or 100 people. Obviously, that's an incredible journey. I do realize, obviously, some people, they scaled it up. It depends a bit on the business. I mean, Detra is a services business. So it's very, it's about the people. So scaling up a software business, obviously, is something completely different than the services business. The growth happens just like by adding additional people and getting them on board as efficiently and as quickly as possible. So that's a different scenario, different type of setting.
So again, we'll move on to the industry again in a moment, but just in closing, for those who are listening who are perhaps in a corporate environment, but with an inkling that they want to join some kind of obviously more of an impact or more of a startup kind of environment, what are the sort of things that you'd suggest that they think about or how they might look at the transition?
Well, clearly, I mean, are they willing and prepared to, do this multitude of different things rather than just maybe one specific function or one specific position? I guess that's really the most important part. And talk to as many people as possible beforehand. To find out and make up your own mind. That's what I would recommend to people who would like to join, like the startup or scale up type of business.
Okay, thanks for sharing that. So if we jump a look at the industry as a whole, maybe not necessarily just with your Detra hat, but with your experience over many years in the solar industry, we're clearly at a stage where there are there are innovations to a degree to make panels more efficient, and obviously the costs have come down substantially, as we all know. But what are perhaps some of the areas where you're maybe concerned at the growth? Clearly, we have geopolitical things with China, the potential for tariff issues, as there are in the US at the moment. Again, there are and have been talk about things like perovskite cells for quite some time. But again, just from your more broader experience, what are some of the things that perhaps excite you or feel that could challenge the solar industry in the next 3 or 4 years?
Well, I'm very confident about the technology as such. It's a proven technology, and as it is a silicon-based technology, obviously there is a certain room for price down. Still, going further, and that's me being someone coming from the semiconductor business, where you really use to scale effects and economies of scale in from a production side. So from that point of view, I'm very confident. Yeah, I think talking about a little bit above and beyond, the pure components and panels and the inverters, and mounting structure. Obviously, it's about making sure, that the quality of the installation, as such, and also, not only the design, but also build quality, is properly done and evaluated, and also documented, and I think, and that is one of the big topics, from obviously what Detra is working on, but also PVKs. It's the data consistency and making sure, that there is no a data leak or a data issue, going from the developer who is selling the project at some point, then onto someone who is then actually going into construction, so that data is consistent, well documented, and obviously also optimized, Again, that might sound very, very easy or simple and straightforward, but looking at the different organizations and how clients do the design process, and then moving into construction, or handling the transfer of the data, from the developer, selling the project, to the EPC, or to the investor, there is still some room, for improvement, and to ensure the consistency, and not to forget, we're designing a PV system, a solar system, for 20-year operation time, or maybe more. So I really do see those are the critical points, and maybe quite certainly there is room for improvement.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Actually, solar has become more and more of an asset class, and over the last few years, and sites do change hands reasonably regularly between as purchased. Then, like you say, the confidence in the construction, the materials, and actually the design, and it's I say infallibility, but whenever anything goes wrong, it's quite easy to source or track or fix because of the way that things have been done properly in the first place. I think, as you say, is quite an important fact. When we were building bigger and bigger parks and building more and more solar as a dominant power generation source for our grids internationally.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's perhaps you're looking forward to at Intersolar? It's something where, as I say, I'm about 10 years in, but I always get excited like a little child before I go, because there's so much to see and so many things to catch up, not just with people, but of course, but looking at the various different products and innovations. Do you still get, again, that level of excitement going to Intersolar and looking at just how much is happening and how large the sector is as a whole?
No, absolutely. Even though I've been in business, for most of my career, I'm an engineer at heart, and whenever obviously going to Intersolar, or going to these kind of conferences or exhibitions, and learning about the technology or the new technology coming up, is always exciting. But from this year, I'm particularly excited, because with Detra, for the first time, we will have a booth, so we will be showcasing, so that makes a difference. Obviously, it changes the dynamics for the team, but also for myself. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And also obviously it's a great opportunity to catch up with people. Everybody is busy all year round. So it's a possibility to meet people face to face, in person, and catch up and have discussions. And talk about new projects, talk about new possibilities and opportunities.
Yeah. There's so much. Just as in when I first went to Intersolar, it was primarily just Intersolar, but as you know, over the years, it's evolved to add additional parts of the market with storage and power to drive now as part of the conference. The co-location of storage and solar is obviously becoming much more prominent and happening much more often. Is that something which Detra you're aware of, and either collaborate with others or have some opportunity to build the design into being either capable of or co-located with storage technologies?
No, there's definitely a trend there. We can confirm. A lot of these projects. I've been discussing about 40-50 megawatt utility scale projects, more and more actually we see co-location, so adding an additional 20 or 30 megawatt hour battery storage, So we do some part of the design as well, like drawings, single line diagrams, type of services, for this, And that's definitely an area where we will be expanding. We are building up the capabilities at the very moment. So again, it's also about, obviously, for us as Detra to figure out these trends and develop an offering, to cater to the requirements from our clients. And I can confirm, we have quite a bit of opportunities and projects ongoing, for battery storage, and it seems like they're getting more and more.
Yeah, and I guess that's another exciting part, or challenging and exciting part of your role, is to continue to evolve the business and pick up some of these challenges and opportunities as the sector again continues to change and be quite a dynamic space.
Yeah, it's about getting the mix of services right. I mean, it seems in terms of services business, it's about the allocation of resources. So allocating the right resources to the right projects, and getting the mix right, from like 2-day type of work for initial design, to a multi-month type of project for execution design. So that is the balance. Obviously we need to find it. It's not only about regional diversification. It's certainly, it is about the mix of services we are selling.
Yeah. Cool. Which booth are you, or which hall are you in, at least? Do you know off the top of your head?
C4, C4 310,
Okay, well, if you're listening and you're at Intersolar next week, do pop by and see Joachim and the team at C4. I'm certainly looking forward to stopping by. Joachim, obviously, it's been great to have you on the podcast. We've obviously had the opportunity to collaborate and work together over the years, and it's great to have you with us. And long may the success continue with the growth at Detra, and looking forward to catching up at Intersolar. But for now, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.